Hey friends, I'm Amy from Omnia Education, and today I'm answering the famous question, what should we teach first, letter names or letter sounds? Before I answer that question, let's make sure we understand the difference between the two. Our letter names are like what we hear in the alphabet, for example, A, B, C, D, those are our letter names. However, our letter sounds are what we're actually using for reading. They're the sounds that we use to read words. For example, A, B, and kids do need to know both eventually, but we should start with one to make reading a little bit easier and a little bit faster for them. So the answer to the golden question is that letter sounds should come first. Reading is about decoding sounds, not letter names. When a child is reading, they're not reading a word and saying each individual letter name like C-A-T. When they're blending that together, that can get really confusing and sound very strange. Instead, they're blending k, a, and blending those sounds together to read the word cat. Focusing on names first can really confuse kids when they're learning to read and trying to blend all of these sounds together when they're saying letter names instead of the sounds. So sounds are really the biggest foundation for our phonics and learning how to read. So you're probably wondering, okay, well, if I'm starting with letter sounds, how do I know when to introduce letter names? Well, those can be layered in as students are building up more confidence with learning those letter sounds. Letter names are really helpful for spelling, for recognizing in print, recognizing different letters, but we want to do that when they're feeling more confident first with their sounds and not drilling them with letter names on top of that, because our main focus is focusing on the sounds to be able to get them reading. A really great way to start layering in those letter names with letter sounds is working on some multisensory activities to connect the letter sound now with letter name. So for example, using a whiteboard to write down the letter A and then saying the sound and the name as they're writing down that letter A. Or using a tray of sand, anything multisensory they can get their hands on, forming the letter while they are connecting the sound to print is really effective. One thing we want to avoid saying, especially when children are beginning to work on learning their letter sounds, is pointing to a letter and saying, this letter says B. We want to make sure that we're saying the letter name is B, but we want to focus on what the sound is. This letter says B. So the key is to teach letter sounds first, then you can start to layer letter names in later, and that will help build confident readers early. If you're just getting started teaching letter sounds, check out my other video where I teach you how to correctly pronounce all 26 letter sounds. If you found this video helpful, hit that like and subscribe button and hope to see you here for our next video. See you later.